Hello, I'm Wendy Burton, entrepreneur, author of the award-winning book Amy and the Angels, and host of the podcast Winging It with Wendy. Real people, real stories, and real angels. Do you ever feel like you're going through life and you're just winging it? We don't know what's coming, and we sometimes don't know how to deal with it. But I want you to know you are not doing it alone. We have what I like to call celestial BFFs that are actually walking this path with us at all times. Each episode, I will be sharing real life exciting stories from my life and from you, the listener. I invite you to participate with an open mind and experience the magic of angels in your life. Welcome everybody to the 4th episode of Winging It with Wendy. Welcome to my home. I have something really, really special today, which is different than the other 3. But before I introduce my guests, I would just like to ask you if you have been enjoying my podcast to please subscribe. And also, if any of these episodes just touch your heart and you have a lovely story that you would like to share, please reach out, because you could possibly be a guest as well. Or I'll be able to read your email online to all the people that are listening. So thank you very much. So without further ado, I'm just going to do a little bit of a background on this amazing young lady that has graciously agreed to come on and share her story. Her name is Erin Schulze. And I met Erin several years ago. If you recall in the last episode, I had talked about a Jeff Wilmore autonomy course. Well, Erin used to work for Jeff. And then when Erin decided to leave the autonomy course, of course, Jeff Wilmore's brother is Doug Wilmore, who is my CEO at World Tree. So in one of the last directors meetings that we have, of course, Erin is the one who organizes everything. During the directors meeting, I had shared with them that I'm doing Winging with Wendy, and Erin reached out and she goes, I've got an angel story if you'd like to hear it sometime. So of course, I'm just like, oh, I've got to hear this. So we got on a lovely Zoom call, and Erin shared the most amazing story. I was like, you have to be my first guest. So I am absolutely thrilled to be able to introduce to you today, Miss Erin Schulze.
Oh, thank you, Wendy. Hi. Thank you so much for including me in your show.
Oh, I'm so happy. And Erin, where are you? Where do you live? I know you just moved. She's in this beautiful apartment. She showed me the video when we were on our Zoom call. She's got this absolutely stunning place. And so where is it located, Erin?
I'm in a suburb just outside of Chicago by about 25 miles.
Lovely. Okay. I actually have some clients in Chicago. I love Chicago. I've been there a couple of times.
Yeah, it's a really fun city.
This angel story actually is about your father.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to hand over the floor to you. And I may interrupt you every now and again because I do that. Just because I want you to, just because I'm excited to go, oh my God, say that again. So, but yeah,
Perfect.
So share about your dad and how this all came about.
So I was born and raised in Chicago, and in mid 2018, my mom and I decided to move to Arizona. At that point, I started working for Jeff, which is, as you told your audience, that's how we met. And I also had another part-time job when I first started working for Jeff. I was working at a restaurant in Arizona part-time. So that's a little backstory for leading up to what's to come. So I met a really good friend when I started working at the restaurant. His name is Eric, and he's also from Chicago. So we had that in common and bonded. And because I was new to the area and, I was really trying to cultivate a community of friends, and he definitely became a fast friend, as they say.
Yeah, I was going to say, yes, this part of the story. Yes. I'm glad that you remembered to share this because that's actually where I think you started the story last time. So, okay, bated breath.
So 2018, mom and I moved to Arizona. In July of 2019, I come back to Chicago for 4th of July, visited family for about 2 weeks. I was here. And during my visit, I went to spend a day with my dad. And my dad told me this story from when he was in rehab. He was in a program and had been sober at that time for roughly 15 years. And one of the things that my dad and I share and kind of bond about are special little moments in life where things that are like, okay, did that just happen? Um, very serendipitous, harmonious moments. Yeah. So that's something that we've always bonded about. And he shared this story with me when I was visiting him about when he was in rehab, that his sponsor had given him a marble. And she said, keep this in your pocket every day. And when you get home from work at the end of your day, you get to take it out of your pocket and say that you didn't lose all your marbles. And he then proceeded to pull this marble that he had been carrying around for 15 years and showed me this marble. And I just thought it was the neatest story. I mean, first of all, to have something in your pocket for 15 years to not lose it.
Right? That is like 15 years of being sober and carrying a marble around. I like to just take a minute to let that sink in.
Yeah.
That is amazing that your dad did that. I love that. And that he shared
Yeah.
with you.
Yeah. Yeah, it was really special, and it was like kind of one of those um things that just stick with you. I like instantly knew, okay, this is important. Um so the other thing dad and I share in common is gardening. At the time he had a landscaping company, and so immediately following him telling me the marble story, showing me his marble, we go to the backyard and he shows me around and starts telling me about, his recent plantings and, what he's been gardening. So I take like one or two steps into a flower bed, I guess it's called, or, a mulched area where there's a bunch of stuff and you can kind of walk in it. I take like two steps, and right on top of the mulch was a marble. And
No,
yeah,
no,
yeah,
really.
yeah.
Okay, what did he
So
say? What did he say?
so I picked up the marble, which I have here. So I picked up this marble and I said, "Oh, thank you, Dad. Like this is so special. I'm really going to cherish this and I love it. Thank you so much." And he looked at me and said, "Erin, I am in this dirt. I'm in this mulch and backyard all day, every day. I have never seen that marble." So we were both kind of like,
Oh, no. Are you kidding? Wow. Wow.
yeah. So we were both like, okay, not only would this have been powerful if it had happened, you know, an hour or a year after this conversation, but it happened to be right after he shared his marble story with me. So it was very like, okay, there's something cool and like happening here, you know?
Yeah, that actually is like the odds of that happening if he's in there all the time. So I just want to just point out to everybody right
Mm-hmm.
now, that to me is an angel message. That's what the angels do, right? And at this time, had you believed in angels?
I did, but I wasn't they weren't like weaved into my everyday life. An understanding, a curiosity, and like a trusting that they're there, I would say. Yeah. Yeah. So, and over the next like month, I found 3 more marbles on walks with my dog Josephine. So I'm just out walking her, and randomly I started finding marbles. And I, of course, kept them. The one that I found when I was with my dad, I put in a little pouch that I kept in my purse with my chapstick, because I use my chapstick, 5 times a day. And I figured that's a good place for this to live, because every time I go to use it, I'm going to be reminded, okay, if I'm having like a moment or a day, okay, I haven't lost all my marbles, So it was like
I
the place
love
to
that.
keep it. So I added those other marbles that I had found in my little pouch. And this is where my backstory with Eric starts to weave into the story. So the 3 people that knew about my story with dad and his marble, and then finding the marble with him, and then now finding more marbles, was my dad, my mom, who I was living with at the time in Arizona, and then Eric, my friend that I told you about earlier. So Eric also had a part-time job as a fitness instructor, and he invited my mom and I to go to a class that he was teaching one day. So we went to this class, got our butt kicked, and afterwards went to the restaurant next door and shared some food. After we had ordered, I went in my purse to get my chapstick, and my pouch that had my chapstick and the marbles was not in my purse. And I'm with,
Oh no.
I know, I'm with 2 out of the 3 people in the world who got when I said, you guys, I lost all my marbles. They like got, oh my God, this is a
I think I'm
real
going to
problem
call
for
this
her.
episode. I
Say
think
that
I'm going to
again.
call this episode How to Not Lose Your Marbles.
How to not lose your marbles. Exactly.
Oh goodness, this is precious.
Yeah.
This is precious.
Thanks, Wendy. Um, we're sitting at the table. I'm like, oh my God, you guys, I lost all my marbles. And I was like panicked. Like, kid you not, there was breakdown happening for me. And so Eric went with me back next door to the fitness, the place that he worked, and we looked in the lost and found. I looked in the locker that I had, changed in. It wasn't there. So we went back to the restaurant, finished our meal, went home, and when I got home, I had completely forgotten that I had taken my pouch out of my purse before we went to the workout place. So we got home. I saw the pouch on my bathroom counter, texted Eric and my mom a picture of it. And I was like, you guys, it's okay. I did not lose all my marbles, And there was like, they were both like, so happy and cheering on that I didn't lose all my marbles.
Yes. Yes, I love it. I love it.
Yeah. So So this is like at this point, mid end of August 2019. Okay. And at the last week in August, Eric and his friends, every year they go to Switzerland for, they practice base jumping. So Switzerland is like the place that when they jump, it allows them to just completely glide through the air.
Oh, I know what you're talking about now. Yeah.
Yeah. And then
Yes, they're
on
gliders.
on the back is a parachute. So if there's a emergency and when it's, time to land, they pop that, and it's a safety feature, just like when you skydive, right? So this is like skydiving for like the big boys.
This is extreme, extreme skydiving. Yes.
Extreme
Oof,
skydiving.
goodness.
Yeah.
Yeah, goodness.
So so Eric, every year they go on this trip, and when he was on this trip, he was there for maybe like 4 or 5 days, and he actually died while he was there, practicing the sport that he he loved and honestly lived for in a lot of ways.
So sorry,
It's
Erin. When you shared that with me, it was just like, no, no, because this is your new bestest buddy, and you've been such good friends, and it was such a tragedy for such a young man, and I'm so sorry for your loss.
Yeah. Well, yeah, thank you. It's anyway. So he so our general manager for the restaurant that we worked at, he called me. I was at work with Jeff. He called me and he said, "Erin, I, have some news. Um, you know, Eric Eric died, and while he was in Switzerland, and his family just reached out to me. So I'm, reaching out to the staff to let everybody know." And I was, really gutted and just trying to like catch up with the reality. So I went home, cried all night, and just, yeah, it was just trying to process. And yeah, the other piece of it is, yeah, is I wasn't in a place at the time, but Eric was definitely someone that I at the time, thought that I could end up with, and vice versa, him for me. So there was like grieving the loss of our friendship, and we didn't
And
formally
the
date,
possibility of the
but the
future.
possibility. Yeah, yeah. So there was like, several layers, as any grief, goes with that grief. But
Of course.
so anyway, the morning after I found out about him dying, I was, doing my normal morning routine. Took my dog Josephine and my mom's dog out back, enjoying a cup of coffee while they're out doing their morning business. And Josephine would not come to me. I was like, "Come on, it's time to come in, let's go." And she just sat there. And we had been out there quite a while, so it was kind of out of character, but I didn't have the bandwidth to really interact with her. Like, so I just walk up to her to pick her up to bring her inside. And when I bent down to pick her up, right next to her on top of the grass was this marble.
Was that marble?
Yeah. So I knew without any hesitation in my heart, this was from Eric. Both my parents knew about the marbles, and then Eric knew about the marbles. And Eric was now not here, and I just found out, and here appears a marble.
It's so important for everybody to realize that angels do have the ability to send us signs whenever we are feeling lost and down and missing them. They're all around us. And clearly he knew for you that it was the marbles. I love this.
Yeah, it was so special to have something tangible to, like, there's, for me, no arguing that that was him. So anyway, I after I started to, move through some of my grief and processing, I kind of started to step back and say, okay, what's going on here with these marbles? Like, I got the one from Dad. That was great. That was special. But ever since then, and now a significant, life, change in something in my life changed. And there's this thread of marbles that I began to get really curious about. In the meantime, I was in the process of moving back to Chicago. So by the end of 2019, I had moved back to Chicago. And it was around that time that my curiosity really started to, like, I couldn't ignore it. And I came across this podcast actually by these women. The podcast is called Psychic Teachers. And they talk about guides, angels, crystals, all sorts of mystical things that are totally up my alley. So I came across them and I listened to every podcast I could find about connecting with your angels.
Yeah, it's interesting. I was going to say that when the student is ready, the teachers will appear. And when we get that, like, oh, I'm fascinated, I'm interested, it's like we can't get enough of it. So I can totally relate for you wanting to learn more about these angels, especially after, these special marbles that you received. And then there's that knowing there's something going on. I need to check it out.
So one of the things I really liked about their show was they integrate stories that, people share, but they also have, like, practical ways that you can integrate, whatever they're teaching. So there's, like, the story side of it, and then here's how you can include this in your life should you feel like it's appropriate for you. So, one of the things early on in listening to their show was, like, asking for a sign. I'm sure anyone who's listening to your podcast is familiar or has heard of the idea of asking for a sign. So I felt like, my angels had already been orchestrating this kind of initiation for me for, since July when I was, with my dad. And the story with the marble started with my dad. So as I was listening to these episodes, it was kind of like, okay, well, I don't have to work through that. I already know what my medium is to communicate with my angels. They chose for me.
Absolutely. Yeah, they totally said, if we send her this, it was just like, Erin, when I was a little girl, it was pennies. Oh my goodness, the pennies were just, if I found a penny, that meant that, first of all, I got to make a wish. And then I had to put it in my little red rubber boots. And so, you bring up a good point here right now. That's your medium. is marbles. Mine was pennies. And then as I grew older and in the last several years of my life, it's been feathers. And so it's really important for our listeners to know that it doesn't have to be a marble for it to be your angel. It can be a penny. It can be a dime. It can be an owl. It can be a red crayon, like whatever it is that when you get it and you go, this is it. This is my sign,
Yeah, well, that's pretty much what, my angels did. It was like, yeah, here's your sign, right? So I feel like that kind of gave me a leg up in working with them, and deepening our relationship. So I started, because I had found those few marbles after I received the one when I was with my dad. Since I had found those on my walks with Josephine, that's my dog. I started using our walks as the time to kind of pray and connect with my guides and angels. I'm outside, connected to nature, I'm slowing down, and clearly, she was kind of part of it in some way, I felt. So anyway, so I started off like just asking, as soon as we would like step outside, I would say, I call upon my guides and angels and ask you to send me a marble to let me know that you're with me. And I ask this of you now. When I would do that, I would have at least one marble by the time at the end of our walk. And like I said, I was living downtown Chicago at that point. It's a lot going on. Not necessarily a place you would expect to stumble upon a bunch of marbles outside, on the sidewalk in an alley. And that's where I would find them.
So you've been collecting them now for years, have you?
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. So I started to do like that, just kind of general, like, let me know you're with me. I just want to like connect with you. But then I learned to kind of, I started to want to ask for guidance in areas of life that I was struggling or I needed some clarity around. The way I was doing it was just like not in harmony. It didn't feel aligned. So then I started to get really specific with my requests, what I asked them. I would say, if I'm supposed to move, or if I'm supposed to continue in this relationship, whatever it was that I was struggling with, I would ask them to send me a sign for yes and to send me a sign for no. So I would give a clear parameter. 3 marbles equals yes. Do that, whatever the question. 2 marbles is no, don't do that. That's not the way to go. And so, because one of the things that I personally found sometimes challenging about just asking for a sign when it's related to like something specific that you want guidance on, I could interpret one marble however I want to interpret it. But if I give parameters, this means yes, this means no, then it's clear. For me, that was like an important piece. Yeah.
Absolutely perfect. Because that is one of the things that I always say when I'm talking to people about coaching them about their angels is be specific. Make sure that you have clear parameters of what you want. Make it detailed if you can. So the way, if I can understand you correctly, is you're asking the universe for a yes or a no, 3 marbles for a yes, 2 for a no. And when you go out and you find 3 marbles.
Yeah.
That's
and
amazing.
I'm just on a walk, I'm not at like a magic store or something. Like I'm just out in nature and they're like appearing, So that was.
So I'm going to ask a question right now.
Great.
Can I ask you this question that I'm going to ask? Because I am absolutely.
Ask away.
I know this. My listeners don't know this, but I've asked Erin if she would bring something today on this podcast. So, Erin, tell everybody listening today, since basically 2018, correct?
Yep, that's when I got my first marble with Dad.
How many marbles have you found?
791.
What? Okay. Do you have your marbles there with you? Because I know you haven't lost your marbles. Tell everybody.
They're kind of heavy, and it's going to take just a moment here to lift. I should use these to like strength train. That would be a good. So these are
791 marbles. Look at the marbles, everybody. Like, look at this. Like, what are the odds of finding these many marbles? Like, I was just, when she shared that with me, you guys, you need to know, is like, this is the power of our angels. This is how you're communicating with them. This is how they know you can know that they're there. And I know Eric has brought more than one marble to you. You had a very special relationship. So I just love that he's there, helping give you marbles. And that is just absolutely, it's precious. And I'm really excited that today that we got to share, this with our viewers and our listeners. I know it's, the listeners are going to be that are on Spotify. I know they're going to go to YouTube because they're going to want to see your jars of marbles.
I'll just add that, if you are curious or want to, if you're on Spotify and you want to see the marbles, I do post on my Instagram. That's how I have kept track of how many marbles I have, received. So my Instagram handle is Madam Marble Oracle. So you can follow me if you're curious about, finding marbles, connecting with your angels, and yeah.
That's perfect. And I'll make sure that we put that in the notes below so they'll be able to go directly to your Instagram account. Oh, for sure. I love that you're posting the marbles that you found on Instagram. Brilliant. Brilliant, brilliant. Okay. Well, Erin, you have been just the most delightful guest today. Thank you for sharing this beautiful, beautiful story. And thank you to all my viewers and listeners for coming in today and coming into my home to be able to meet with Erin today from Chicago. Again, if everybody that's listening, if you could please subscribe. If this resonated with you, please share it on Instagram. This is how we're going to get the stories out about angels. Because with everything that's going on in our world today, so many people need to know that they have angels, that their angels are right there by your side. They have so many gifts for you. They've got marbles galore. They've got pennies and dimes and feathers. So thank you, everybody, for listening to. And Erin, thank you for being my very first guest, which will always be special in my heart. And it was lovely to have you on today. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
I look forward to the next one. I'll have to let you know who my next guest is.
Bye. Ciao.